kind of a negative spin on it, but at the same time, it's more of a big
No, but
aware,
it's true.
you know
Like
what I mean?
every single time,
It'll reduce errors. It'll make my life a lot easier.
it'll revolutionise your role.
It will definitely change what I have to do every day. It was a really crazy time for us.
The volume disappeared for properties that were coming to the market.
Welcome back to Foxy TV, episode 223. In this episode, we're going to take a look back at the financial year, the 22-23 financial year. And yes, I know it's September, but that doesn't matter. Jake and Phoebe are going to walk us through, the total number of installs for the year, our biggest month, annual revenue, number of agents we've done work for. And I think there's another couple numbers we run through, but it's not just us sitting here reading numbers. They provide a lot of context, which I think you'll find informative for business owners and home stagers watching this video, including things like the number of real estate agents and home stagers like leaving the industry, and how we're sort of thinking around those types of things. They also discuss their biggest challenges for the year, what they're impressed with, and their focus and plans for the next 12 months. As always, if you have questions or comments on today's video or any other topics, leave them in the comments below. Send us a message and we will get a response to you. Otherwise, let's jump straight into today's video.
We normally do a year in review. I think we kind of do 2 a year often. We do a financial year, so around the end of June, and then we tend to do one in December for the calendar year as well. So we're sitting here today towards the end of August, so we're a little behind. Somebody asked about it and we thought, why not? So I guess we're going to talk a little bit about the financial year ending June, and for us, we've got some numbers here which we'll go through, but if I was to kind of think about that 12-month period, the first 6 months, so from July, the first 4 months, I guess, 5 months, from July onwards at the back end of 2022, it was a really crazy time for us. We got a few records. We had our biggest month we've ever had. I think we would both agree we were at capacity in terms of what we could do.
That was right before we hit the last Foxy vacay, right?
Yeah,
That's what you're talking about?
we hit we set an objective for, it was...
Which everyone would have seen on our team culture video.
Yeah, it was like a 6-month period in October in 2022. So that was a really crazy end of the year, very busy. This first half of 2023 has been kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of slower market. We had
a predicted slowing in the market.
Yeah.
The volume disappeared for properties that were coming to the market. Buyers were still there, so the stuff that was selling quickly, but the amount of property coming to the market really reduced. That was the market correcting itself. Also, the interest rate rises, all those things coming to play, is starting to turn now. So we're September, and this last week we've seen a really good turn in how the market's sort of 2 weeks.
To give, an idea, so in October last year, our busiest month, we did 121 installs that month, which was, like I said, a record. This first half of the year, 2023, we were kind of around between 80 to 100 on a busier month for us this year. So
we had a really quiet month in there. We had one that was comparable to
something like that. So, which for us, when we've got 3 trucks and a team that's been built to be able to do 120 installs a month, 70 was, it felt a lot quieter.
And I appreciate for some people, that's a huge month. For us, I feel like that was comparable to 3 years ago. Was the numbers that we were looking at. That was our quietest month in 3 years. Knowing, though, that those downturns, they're not there forever.
Some of the numbers that we've got, which we'll go through now, kind of indicate that. These are for the full 12 months. We did, in that 12-month period, for the first time, over 1,000 installs, so 1,054, which compared to the year before, 920, was still about a 15% growth for us. That's really been driven by the second half of 2022, and like I said, a little bit slower in the first half this year. So we see that there is still capacity.
Our growth year on year previous was...
We've had months years where we've doubled. 50% growth is not unusual. This is probably the first time where we're still seeing growth, but it's a lot lower, I guess, than it has been previously. So if I say that we've grown about 15%, everything else that I'm about to mention is kind of in line with that, as you'd expect. So our team has grown. We had about 21 people at financial year 2022, and at the end of June this year, we had 26 people. The revenue has kind of moved in line with that as well. Last year, we hit $3 million as an annual revenue, last financial year. This year, it's 3.7, which is a little bit, the growth is a little bit higher than the 15% in that case. Partly because obviously more installs, but I think partly because we did rising living costs, wages and that sort of thing. We raised our prices, I think, towards the beginning of that financial year. So that's, I guess, why we've seen that as well. Furniture, do you want to talk about the investment in new stock?
Yeah, so last year we invested 1.5 million into the new stock. This year, rather than having to purchase new stock to go out into new installs because we were hitting records and getting more and more, we were purchasing to refresh our stock. So we spent around that $1 million mark on stock this year, purely just to refresh our inventory. Our industry is very unique in that when we're less busy, we have stock here in the warehouse. We don't need to purchase the warehouse, so therefore our revenue, our profit goes up. It goes hand in hand with what is available here. Interestingly, our aim for this year was more consolidation, and I feel like the market forced that a little bit too, which is good.
Catch your breath almost with, like I said, we had kind of crazy growth last year, for the last few years, so it was a good chance for us to kind of take stock of where we're at in terms of our inventory, our team, our processes, all of those things, ourselves as leaders and business owners, and the things that we wanted to put in place and change. So it was a good opportunity for that. The other thing that I thought we've done or mentioned in the past, which is also an interesting one for us, is the number of agents that we've done work for. In that 12-month period, we actually worked for about 375 different agents across that period. Of those,
about this really specific number.
Well, no, I said a number that's different than I wrote down, because this is, sometimes we have a lead agent but multiple agents underneath them, and so somewhere around the 375 mark. About 200 of those were agents that we hadn't done any work for previously. That's kind of telling us that a little over, I don't know,
We had a concentrated marketing campaign to the Gold Coast within that time period, and we definitely have done more work down the Gold Coast comparative to this time last year. In Brisbane as well, we are having more and more agents who are coming on board with the idea of styling. So that, I think that's definitely reflective of that. Interestingly, there are quite a number of agents who we have done work with in the past who we haven't heard from this year. There are quite a few agents who have left the industry given how tough it has been, and I think that really reflects what happens when there's a downturn in the market for a real estate agent. It's a cyclical market, and any well-seasoned agent would be able to advise you that during the downturn, the agents who are more of a one-man band or those who are really new and have only ever been in a booming market find it really tricky. Stylists also. We've seen quite a few stylists and businesses leave the industry. Hopefully we're on the other side of it and we're on the way back up.
And I was going to say as well, I'm not even sure how to interpret the fact that a little over half of the agents we've worked for, we hadn't worked for previously. I think that shows growth in itself, that we've got a lot of new agents either coming to us or that we're reaching out to or we're getting recommended. That's a very positive way to look at it. It also tells us that there's a lot of opportunity for those that, if 200 are new, somewhere around 175 are agents that we've been working with for over that 12-month period, some of them as long as 5 years, 6 years. So from a marketing or from a business point of view, there's growth in both sides of that. So impressed me most. The first thing that comes to mind is just that crazy busy period, the end of October 2022. What we as a team and as a business were able to achieve there in terms of the number of installs when we were chasing down a target that we'd set for the business. That impressed me that we were able to get through that period.
I loved the feeling of accomplishment once we got to that date. And also proving you wrong, because you did not think we were going to get there.
I was very doubtful.
Accomplishment, actually achieving it, how the team worked, everybody worked together. It was almost like we had a gong, imaginary gong every time we locked a job in. That was really, really good. On the flip side, now everybody else working when it's quieter to help everybody learn how to get better at what we do. Something that I think coming into next year's review, something we're going to look back on.
Another one that impressed me and is impressing me even very recently is Phoebe and I have taken more time away from the business. It's not that we've taken it away, but we've done a couple of conferences that were overnight.
They were not holidays.
We had one holiday in there, but we've spent time away from the day-to-day, and we've left it in the hands of the senior people in the team. And that's kind of the first time we've really done that for more than kind of one day. We spent 4 nights, 5 nights in a couple of places, even 7 nights away for a family holiday. It impressed me that the leadership was able to step up and what they were able to do without us being here.
And other personalities within the group stepping up and people trying to take the reins. It's been really good to see that growth in our staff. A very full warehouse.
Yeah, so we've, like I said, earlier this year, 2023, as we were a little bit quieter, all the furniture came back, so trying to deal with that for the logistics team in particular was quite tricky.
And because I still had to purchase stock, we had new season, that makes it sound like a first world problem, but I had to purchase new season stock, and you purchase that when it's released, otherwise you miss out. We have an overflowing warehouse. I was still buying boxes and boxes, actually it was 100 cartons, 10 pallets of stock from RML. It was pretty tricky for the boys.
Also say, this is going to be an answer literally every year, but people, staff. When we, on one hand, we're very impressed with the people, and it's always a very positive look at what we as a team are able to achieve and the growth and everything. It's also one of probably the biggest challenge that we have every year, that's consistent at least, is finding new good people for the team, helping people grow in the team, managing people when they aren't where we need them to be or aren't progressing like we would like them to be, and having people leave that have an impact or leave a kind of gap in the business. So across the board, people is always a challenge.
I had a presentation that I went to from the owner of Ava's Rent-A-Car, and in that presentation he said, once you meet a feeling of success, the feeling of falling down the other side of the mountain isn't far away. And every single time we've gotten to the spot where we think our team is absolutely fantastic, everything's gelling really well, we've got a really good, then it's literally within a week, we have something that happens, someone leaves, someone has to leave, it just couldn't have resonated with me more, that quote.
It's kind of a negative spin on it, but at the same time it's more of a bit
but
aware.
It's true, every single time we feel like, yes, it's
constantly changing, I think, is we're still learning as leaders of people as well, how to manage people and grow a team, and it's something that we're still figuring out at the same time.
We did not discuss this.
No, but I think we probably have discussed it enough to give an answer, which is, at least in part, consolidation, in the sense that, like I said, we've had the staffing changes more recently, we've had a number of them.
Yep.
We are having some days where we're very busy and it's feeling a little bit hectic, I guess, at times, so not that that's a bad thing, and we've definitely had those days in the past. Making sure that we have the right people, the right training, which we feel like we do, but getting those processes in place, really making that training kind of stick. Even in the last few months, we've changed some of the training for the logistics team and the way that we catch up with people and that sort of thing. So I'd also say we've got a few things like an inventory system being built for us as a business, which will take a lot of the manual data entry and the checking, and it'll reduce errors. It'll make my life a lot easier.
It'll revolutionise your role.
It will definitely change what I have to do every day, and it'll make Phoebe's life easier.
Not just your role, everyone's role.
So there's a few things like that where I wouldn't say that's about growth. Those things are, actually that's probably interesting in itself. Neither of us said growth. I think we both know that that's on the cards. We've got an opportunity.
There is opportunity there for us if we wanted to go down that path for next year. We're intentionally, like an airline. So when you're getting busy, you're trying to pull it back in, trying to keep it steady, rather than what we were doing over the last 2 years, we just accept, locking the jobs as they come. We've done 7 jobs today, we did 7 jobs yesterday, continually going on with 7 jobs, but there's opportunity there for us to do and more. It just long-term has consequences for the team and for us not having that right training and not getting the team to where we need them to be. And then that feeling of burnout, not just for the team, but for us. So we're holding back a little bit in order to be able to move forward in about a year, I'd say.
Yep.
Let's get on top of it.
And one other significant thing is we are doing our conference, or the conference.
Yes, we are.
Australian Home Staging Conference in early 2024. So for us, that's a kind of a new direction. We've always been quite open with our answering questions and giving, I was going to say advice, I guess it is, but it's from our perspective what we've learned. So this is kind of a very big step up in that regard that we want to put on a big conference. So as it's not a Foxy conference, but obviously we're the ones kind of coordinating all of that. So it's about improving the sharing of knowledge and learning in the industry in Australia. So
Looking forward to it.
Have you got them as well?
On his inconspicuous iPad with his bright yellow post-it note.
Do you know the secret? There's not even an iPad in there. It's just the case. It just looks good.
Well, I have the
So
numbers.
lame. Right. You're so lame.
It looks silly if I sit here with my little sticky notes, so